Bastille Day is the name given in English-speaking countries to the French National Day, which is celebrated on July 14 each year. In France, it is formally called la Fête Nationale and commonly le quatorze juillet. The French National Day commemorates the beginning of the French Revolution with the storming of the Bastille on 14 July 1789, as well as the Fête de la Copyright on 14 July 1790. Celebrations are held all over France. The oldest and largest regular military parade in Europe is held on the morning of July 14, on the Champs-Élysées Copywriters Avenue in Paris in front of the President of the Republic, French officials and foreign guests. Events and traditions of the day. The Bastille Day military parade opens with cadets from the École Polytechnique, Saint-Cyr, École Navale, and so forth, then other infantry troops, then motorized troops. Aircraft of the Patrouille de France aerobatics team fly above. In recent times, it has become custom to invite units from France's allies to the parade. In 2004, during the centenary of the Entente Cordiale, British troops, the Band of the Royal Marines, the Household flying overhead. In 2007, the German 26th Airborne Brigade led the march followed by British Royal Marines. In 2013, Malian soldiers opened the parade, following the Franco-Malian military Operation Serval. Members of the United Nations MINUSMA forces also took part in the parade, including soldiers from 12 other African countries, notably Chad. United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon attended the parade alongside French President Fête Nationale Hollande. The president gives an interview to members of the press, discussing the situation of the country, recent events and projects for the future. Nicolas Sarkozy, elected president in 2007, chose not to give it. Fête Nationale Hollande, elected president in 2012, reinstated it. History. Storming of the Bastille. On May 19, 1789, Louis XVI convened the Estates General to hear their grievances. The deputies of the Third Estate representing the common people decided to break away and form a National Assembly. On June 20 the deputies of the Third Estate took the tennis court oath, swearing not to separate until a constitution had been established. They were gradually joined by delegates of the other estates. Louis XVI started to recognize their validity on June 27. The Assembly renamed itself the National Constituent Assembly on July 9, and began to function as a legislature and to draft a constitution. In the wake of the 11th July dismissal of Jacques Necker, the people of Paris, fearful that they and their representatives would be attacked by the royal military, and seeking to gain ammunition and gunpowder for the general populace, stormed the Bastille, a fortress prison in Paris which had often held people jailed on the basis of lettres de cachet, arbitrary royal indictments that could not be appealed. Besides holding a large cache of ammunition and gunpowder, the Bastille had been known for holding political prisoners whose writings had displeased the royal government, and was thus a symbol of the absolutism of the monarchy. As it happened, at the time of the siege in July 1789 there were only 7 inmates, none of great political significance. When the crowd eventually reinforced by mutinous guards for a section S proved a fair match for the fort's defenders, Governor Delaunay, the commander of the Bastille, capitulated and opened the gates to avoid a mutual massacre. However, possibly because of a misunderstanding, fighting resumed. 98 attackers and just 1 defender died in the actual fighting, but in the aftermath, Delaunay and 7 other defenders were killed, as was the copyright Vartides Marchand Jacques de Flesselles. Shortly after the storming of the Bastille, on August 4 feudalism was abolished and on August 26, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen was proclaimed. Fête de la Copyright Ration. The Fête de la Copyright Ration on 14 July 1790 was a celebration to commemorate the first anniversary of the storming of the Bastille and the unity of the French nation during the French Revolution. The event took place on the Champs de Mars, which was at the time far outside Paris. The place had been transformed on a voluntary basis by the population of Paris itself, in what was recalled as the Journée Copyright des Brouettes. A mass was celebrated by Talleyrand, Bishop of Autun. the popular General Lafayette, as captain of the National Guard of Paris and confidant of the king, took his oath to the Constitution, followed by King Louis XVI. After the end of the official celebration, the day ended in a huge four-day popular feast and people celebrated with fireworks, as well as fine wine and running naked through the streets in order to display their great freedom. Origin of the present celebration: on June 30, 1878, a feast had been arranged in Paris by official decision to honor the French Republic. On July 14, 1879, another feast took place, with a semi-official aspect. The events of the day included a reception in the Chamber of Deputies, organized and presided over by lə.ka.tɔʁz on Gambetta, a military review in Longchamp, and a Republican feast in the Pra-copyright Catalan. All through France, Le Figaro wrote, people feasted much to honor the storming of the Bastille. On May 21, 1880, Benjamin Raspail proposed a law to have the Republic choose the 14th July as a yearly national holiday. The Assembly voted in favor of the proposal on May 21 and June 8. The Senate approved on it 27 and 29 June, favoring July 14 against August 4. The law was made official on July 6, 1880, and the Ministry of the Interior recommended to prefects that the day should be celebrated with all the brilliance that the local resources allow. Indeed, the celebrations of the new holiday in 1880 were particularly magnificent. In the debate leading up to the adoption of the holiday, Henri Martin, chairman of the French Senate, addressed the chamber on June 29, 1880. Do not forget that behind this 14th July, where victory of the new era over the ancien copyright regime was bought by fighting, do not forget that after the day of 14th July 1789, there was the day of 14th July 1790, this latter day cannot be blamed for having shed a drop of blood, for having divided the country. It was the consecration of the unity of France. If some of you might have scruples against the first 14th July, they certainly hold none against the second. Whatever difference which might part us, something hovers over them, it is the great images of national unity, which we all desire, for which we would all stand, willing to die if necessary. Bastille Day Military Parade. The Bastille Day Military Parade is the French military parade that has been held on the morning of July 14 each year in Paris since 1880. While previously held elsewhere within or near the capital city, since 1918 it has been held on the Champs-Élysées copyrights, with the evident agreement of the Allies as represented in the Versailles Peace Conference, and with the exception of the period of German occupation from 1940 to 1944. The parade passes down the Champs-Élysées copyrights from the Arc de Triomphe to the Place de la Concorde, where the President of the French Republic, his government and foreign ambassadors to France stand. This is a popular event in France, broadcast on French TV, and is the oldest and largest regular military parade in Europe. In some years, invited detachments of foreign troops take part in the parade and foreign statesmen attend as guests. Smaller military parades are held in French garrison towns, including Toulon and Belfort, with local troops. Bastille Day celebrations in other countries. Belgium, lə.ka.tɔʁz.ʒčiɪ celebrates the Bastille Day each year since the end of the First World War, as lə.ka.tɔʁz.ʒčiɪ was decorated by the lə.ka.tɔʁz d'honneur for its unexpected resistance during the Battle of lə.ka.tɔʁz.ʒčiɪ. Czech Republic, since 2008. Prague is hosting French market lə.ka.tɔʁz.ʒčiɪ copyright du 14 juillet offering traditional French food and wine as well as music. The market takes place at the Camp Island, usually between 11 and July 14. Hungary, Budapest's two-day celebration is sponsored by the Institut de France. India, Bastille Day is celebrated with great festivity in Pondicherry every year. Being an important French colony, Pondicherry celebrates this day with great honor and pride. On the eve of the Bastille Day, retired soldiers engage themselves in parade and celebrate the day with Indian and French national anthems. On the day, uniformed war soldiers march through the street to honor the French soldiers who were killed in the battles. One can perceive French and the Indian flag flying alongside that project the mishmash of cultures and heritages. New Zealand, the Auckland suburb of Remuera hosts an annual French-themed Bastille Day Street Festival. South Africa, Franschhoek's Weekend Festival has been celebrated for the last 15 years. The French consulate in Cape Town also celebrate by throwing an official party for the French community and local officials. United Kingdom, London has a large French contingent, and celebrates Bastille Day at various locations including Battersea Park. Edinburgh recalls the days of the old alliance between Scotland and France with its annual Bastille Day celebration, which is often second only those of Paris. United States over 50 U.S. cities conduct annual celebrations. Baltimore has a large Bastille Day celebration each year at Petit Louis in the Roland Park area of Baltimore City. Boston has a celebration annually, hosted by the French Cultural Center for over 35 years. Recently, the celebration took place in the Liberty Hotel, a former city jail converted into a boutique hotel, though more often the festivities occur in Boston's Back Bay neighborhood, near the Cultural Center's headquarters. The celebration typically includes francophone musical performers, dancing, and French cuisine. Chicago has hosted a variety of Bastille Day celebrations in a number of locations in the city, including Navy Pier and Oz Park. The recent incarnations have been sponsored in part by the Chicago branch of the French-American Chamber of Commerce and by the French Consulate General in Chicago. Dallas's Bastille Day celebration, Bastille on Bishop, began in 2010 and is held annually on July 14 in the Bishop Arts District of the North Oak Cliff neighborhood, southwest of downtown just across the Trinity River. Dallas' French roots are tied to the short-lived socialist utopian community, lə.ka Copyright Union, formed in 1855 and incorporated into the city of Dallas in 1860. Houston has a celebration at La Colombe Hotel. It is hosted by the Consulate General of France in Houston, the French Alliance, the French-American Chamber of Commerce, and the Texan-French Alliance for the Arts. Milwaukee's four-day, street festival begins with a storming of the Bastille with a 43-foot replica of the Eiffel Tower. Minneapolis has a celebration in Uptown with wine, French food, pastries, a flea market, circus performers and bands. Also in the Twin Cities area, the local chapter of the Alliance for nasjɔťnal has hosted an annual event for years at varying locations with a competition for the best baguette of the Twin Cities. Montgomery, Ohio has a celebration with wine, beer, local restaurants, fair, pastries, games and bands. New Orleans has multiple celebrations, the largest in the historic French Quarter. New York City has numerous Bastille Day celebrations each July, including Bastille Day on 60th Street hosted by the French Institute Alliance for nasjɔťnal between 5th and Lexington Avenues on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, Bastille Day on Smith Street in Brooklyn, and Bastille Day in Tribeca. The Empire State Building is illuminated in blue, white and red. Orlando has a boutique Bastille Day street festival that began in 2009 in the Audubon Park Garden District and involves champagne, wine, music, pétanque, artists, and street performers. Philadelphia's Bastille Day, held at Eastern State Penitentiary, involves Marie Antoinette throwing locally manufactured pastries at the Parisian militia, as well as a reenactment of the storming of the Bastille. Sacramento, California conducts annual waiter races in the Midtown Restaurant and Shopping District, with a street festival. San Francisco has a large celebration in the city's historic French Quarter in downtown. Seattle's Bastille Day celebration, held at the Seattle Center, involves performances, picnics, wine and shopping. St. Louis has annual festivals in both the Soulard neighborhood and the former French village of Carondelet, Missouri, which include reenactments of the beheading of Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI, as well as reconstructed French fur trading posts. One-time celebrations, 1979, a concert with Jean-Michel Jarre on the Place de la Concorde in Paris attracted 1 million people, securing an entry in the Guinness Book of Records for the largest crowd at an outdoor concert. 1989, France celebrated the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution, notably with a monumental show on the Champs-Élysées copyrights in Paris, directed by French designer Jean-Paul Goude. President François Mitterrand acted as host for invited world leaders. 1990, a concert with Jean-Michel Jarre was held at lə.ka Copyright Fence in Paris. 1994, the military parade was opened by Eurocorps, a newly created European Army unit including German soldiers. This was the first time German troops entered in France since 1944, sealing the definitive Franco-German reconciliation. 1995, a concert with Jean-Michel Jarre was held at the Eiffel Tower in Paris. 1998, 2 days after the French football team became World Cup champions, huge celebrations took place nationwide. 2004, to commemorate the centenary of the Entente Cordiale, the British led the military parade with the red arrows flying overhead. 2007, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Treaty of Rome, the military parade was led by troops from the 26 other EU member states, all marching at the French time. See also, Bastille Day Military Parade, OPA Copyright Ration 14 Juillet, Public Holidays in France, References. External links, Bastille Day July 14th, official French website, The French Revolution, in a nutshell, Bastille Day History, Bastille Day 2011 Euro slideshow by Life magazine, the 2011 Bastille Day Military Parade, video broadcast by the French Ministry of Defense.